Welcome to another edition of our special series, Tipping Point, where we take a hard and deep look at how we can address the climate and environmental crises that we face.
In particular, my own research aims to develop plants that require less water.
Except they didn't. Nothing is quite so cringy as the unexamined speculative copium of Big Ag trying to wriggle out of the combined consequences of the original agricultural revolution and of climate change. Here, I'm going to point out the worst example in this program because it's pretty bad.
His research is focused on the pores on sorghum plants, which take in carbon dioxide and expel water. They're called stomata, Greek for mouth.
Which is actually where the carbon dioxide is taken up into the leaf to then be captured by photosynthesis. It's also where water vapor escapes from the leaf to the atmosphere. And we're trying to reduce the number of those pores. That's one way we think we can make the plants demand less water.
I want to pause here and explain exactly what was being proposed. The scientist wants to cut away at a plant's ability to absorb the CO2 needed to produce food in exchange for less water loss. And I hope you can see the problem here. Imagine being asked to run a 5K with your mouth sewn shut and a nostril blocked. You might make it, but I doubt you could do your best time. Furthermore, this is raw speculation based on research that has not even been performed yet. Beyond that, I am even more skeptical because plants already can close their stoma in the face of water loss. And there is an entire family of the plant kingdom that specializes in storing CO2 in their tissues at night, who close their stoma during the day and use the cached CO2 for photosynthesis. It seems to me a little outrageous to charge ahead and cut off a plant's ability to actually collect CO2. Steve Long is another researcher interviewed. His work is much further along, but I want to point out here that the issues facing agriculture are well outside photosynthetic efficiency. The Green Revolution came at the cost of soil depletion, dependence on expensive fertilizers and pesticides, nutritional decline, environmental pollution, overtaxed water resources, and climate change is rewriting the seasonal stability the Green Revolution and commercial agriculture evolved in. And having crops that can survive conditions farmers can't even work in is largely missing the point. This point is driven home with Bangladesh's brutal heat wave.
Higher temperatures also mean a loss of income for many of the daily wage earners.
My income has significantly decreased. I used to complete 20 to 30 trips a day before, but now it has reduced to 10 to 15.
Outdoor labor productivity is slashed as workers suffer reductions in their capacity to work. Crop yields, crop nutrition, and farmer productivity are all intimately related with temperature. Higher heat degrades each of them. Crop yields, crop nutrition, and farmer productivity are all intimately related with temperature. Higher heat degrades each of them. And the hotter it is, the harder and more precarious our lives become as more of the planet moves out of the sweet spot of human habitation, which is around an average temperature of 13 centigrade or 55 degrees Fahrenheit. In short, climate change is also making the world a smaller space for mankind, and that smaller space is a volatile, shifting world, alien to the economic order that rose in a stable global environment. An ivory tower global savior solution generated and distributed from the centers of agricultural power is an unfit strategy for a warmer planet. Viable solutions will enable localities to become self-sufficient for the bulk of their needs for food, energy, and housing. This reality is already evident as stable crop yields come under increasing duress and as foreign inputs become less reliable and more expensive. The access of the majority of the world's farmers to all these inputs is declining. This is a vanity green revolution being pursued by U.S. researchers because they can harvest the money offered by the wealthy who are themselves indulging their own fantasies. The research is speculative and unproven, and worse, it's maladaptive. Two stories I ran across offer a sharp contrast to this speculative copium. The first story was reported last year by Der Spiegel, and it covers the development of tropically adapted wheat varieties by Brazil's state-owned Agricultural Research Corporation. The new variety is high in protein and competes with varieties grown in Canada and Argentina. The variety is quietly revolutionizing Brazil's production of wheat. They hope to become not only self-sufficient, but eventually export the crop. In addition, Brazil has also developed a variant suitable for subtropical regions. But its true potential comes from its ability to offer food security to an entirely new range of nations, freeing them from the risks emerging in the global food supply. Because it matures quickly, it can also be added to small farmers' crop rotations. If anything, this really does seem like a miracle crop development. As a side note, there are still some concerns about expanding agriculture into Brazil's savanna, which is already threatened by deforestation in the Amazon, rising temperatures, and a reduction in precipitation. Temperatures in Brazil are expected to climb by 4 to 6 degrees centigrade in the coming years. And I'll pass on one other caveat noted by Der Spiegel. Brazil is one of the world's largest agricultural exporting nations, while 33 million of its people are food insecure. I bring up this point because even today, we have the capacity to feed everyone in the world, and the issue remains one of waste and distribution. I don't think comparative advantage has really worked out in the general case. Communities must first imagine themselves as self-sufficient and develop it before they have a solid foundation to engage in wider trade. Moving on to the second development, I ran across this one from Just Have a Think.
And now, new research suggests the Amazon could be a catalyst for similar levels of forest restoration in other parts of the world too, thanks to a phenomenon you may already know as terra preta, or black earth. A team of Brazilian scientists has just published a comprehensive analysis of this remarkable soil, and I have to say, the results have been pretty amazing.
New research determined that amending soil with just 20% of an indigenous soil improvement system known as terra preta achieved most of the same benefit of growing plants in 100% of the soil. The backstory to this is that thousands of years ago, indigenous cultures of the Amazon developed a method of improving the characteristically poor tropical soil they lived upon by amending it with charcoal, animal waste, and table scraps. In essence, indigenous cultures turned their own garbage into agricultural black gold. While European arrival destroyed most native cultures through disease, the practice of amending soil still persists now, even in nomadic tribes. The practice results in a soil with some truly stellar properties, rich in mineral nutrients and organic matter which supports crops in the surrounding landscape. The combination actually accumulates nutrients, minerals, and microorganisms while withstanding the leaching inherent in a tropical environment. Yeah, it's pretty good for them savages. It goes on to say that this system supported complex, large-scale social formations, including chiefdoms and even large towns and cities, one of which included a population of 100,000. It goes on to say that Amazonians may have used terra preta to make the land suitable for large-scale agriculture. Fast forwarding back to today, the war in Ukraine has threatened the food security of many nations by spiking the cost of fertilizer. Countries like Indonesia are considering returning to methods similar to terra preta. Indonesia is certainly no stranger to the social unrest food scarcity can cause. The general theme I draw on from these stories is that most of the world, including those of us in the developed world, must not and should no longer wait for hypotheticals promised by agribusiness, their research, and for any of it to become available through a global supply chain, which has faltered in conflict and disruptions coming from the climate itself. Think of the drought and stranded shipping industry of last year.